Well, I'm LifeBlood. This is George G, and the time is right. Welcome to today's guest, strong and powerful AJ Grossman. AJ, are you ready to do this?
I am. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm excited to have you on. AJ is an attorney. He is the founder and owner of and CEO of Leapfrog Divorce. He's working to solve problems, provide solutions that protect the interests of those who seek amicable resolutions, dispute resolutions, and collaborative divorce. AJ, tell us a little bit about your personal life, more about your work, why you do what you do.
Okay. Gosh, I love those questions. All right. So I'm in Orlando, Florida, and happily married. Love to travel. My wife and I just got back from a fantastic trip over to the UK. We were over there for, I think, about 3 weeks. That was fantastic. I've been a guitar player for over 40 years. Music has been a huge part of my life. And when I was a kid, I ran track and field and actually held the national record for the 1 mile race walk. So that was exciting. Um, what else? I guess that covers it. Oh, work. Yes. So I'm a divorce lawyer. I'm also a Florida Supreme Court certified family mediator, and I am a dispute resolution specialist. And 100% of my practice is focused solely on divorce and paternity matters. That's all I've ever done. That's all I will continue to do. And the question I think I love the most, the why question. Why do I do what I do? So really, I boil it down to being the positive change that I want to see in the world by helping people divorce while minimizing harm and trauma, one person, one child, and one family at a time.
Nice. I appreciate that. Is divorce good or bad?
Oh, I hate labels. So I think it's neither good nor bad. I think that it is the right option for some people, possibly the wrong option or maybe the wrong timing for others. So I think it really depends. As human beings, we're all unique. There's nobody in the world just like us. And so really that's a personal decision that's based upon a lot of factors. So I would not judge it and consider it either good or bad.
Yeah, it just kind of is, right?
Yeah, right.
For somebody, it's the worst thing that's ever happened, and for the other person, potentially in the same relationship, it could be the best thing that's ever happened. So it just kind of is.
Absolutely. Yes, yes.
Amicable resolutions.
Mm.
How often is that taking place? Tell me a little bit more about that.
Okay. So I'll start by defining it so that people understand what it means. An amicable divorce, in my opinion, is one where a married couple has been able to continue to communicate through their conflict and resolve most, many, or all of the issues that they have in their divorce, whether it deals with the kids or property or debts or what have you. They both realize that, especially if they're parents, that they're going to be parents for the rest of their lives. And so if the children are small, they're going to have to co-parent together to make sure that their child or children are loved and supported by two loving co-parents. And so with an amicable divorce with parents, usually those parents recognize their future role and the importance of their future role. And so they don't want to use the divorce process to harm their spouse. They don't want to use the children as pawns or negotiating tools in the divorce. And so each person wants their ideal divorce process where nobody gets harm or the harm is minimized, the trauma is minimized, and they can simply split from one type of family into a different type of family. And so for single people with it or married people without children, that would be, I just want to pursue my life, and I want, my wife, my husband, whatever happens to be, to pursue his or her life as well. And we just need to part ways and go about our business, so to speak. So it happens quite regularly. I do get quite a few inquiries about, can I have an amicable divorce? How much does an amicable divorce cost? What does it look like? Where are the potholes? Where can things go wrong? So it's definitely a possibility.
Yeah. What is the purpose of mediation from a marriage standpoint?
Great question. So the sole purpose, well, I won't say the sole purpose. One of the big purposes is to meet with what I would call a neutral third party, a neutral professional who can help the spouses communicate in a way that helps resolve the issues that they're having. Oftentimes, people in conflict find it incredibly challenging and difficult to communicate in a way that actually advances the conflict, advances the dispute towards the resolution. So working with a mediator who's trained in working with people to help them communicate can often really help.
So it's not necessarily to divorce. It could be working through a problem and staying together.
Absolutely, absolutely. So there are mediators who mediate all types of cases and cases that have yet to be filed. I remember as part of my Master of Laws education out at Pepperdine University in Malibu, I used to mediate neighbor disputes, and sometimes those cases were filed and sometimes they weren't. Or a customer that had a dispute with a retailer. Sometimes those were filed, sometimes they weren't. So yes, a mediator can be very helpful whether a case is filed or not.
Yeah. I I can't help but try to draw parallels between people's interests. So you've been playing guitar for a really long time, and when your guitar gets out of tune, I don't imagine that you just break the guitar and throw it away. You attempt to. I'm just kind of getting back to, and it's kind of like a relationship, right? Just because something's out of tune or it's not working great, you can potentially replace the strings or tune the guitar instead of just getting a new guitar. What do you think about
Right.
that?
Right. Oh, I love that analogy. I think it's fantastic. Absolutely. So over the years, I've built several, if not maybe half a dozen to a dozen of my own guitars. And so tweaking things and tuning things, maybe changing one component for another component can really help accomplish whatever goal it is you're trying to accomplish. So with a guitar, I'm trying to get it to feel good, to be relatively easy to play and to sound good. And with a marriage, that might be changing a communication style, maybe changing the environment in which you typically communicate with your spouse. It could be transitioning from, kind of accusation defend to entering a conflict with your spouse or significant other or fellow employee or boss with more of a learning mindset. I need to learn more about the other person's perspective before I get on my own soapbox and start defending my own position. So just some little tweaks here and there can work wonders.
Yeah. And I don't when people come to you, um the the when you go to a surgeon and you say, "Hey, I've got this pain," you expect that the surgeon's going to tell you to have surgery. When I come to you, do you have conversations and just we're getting divorced? We're not going to talk about, fixing the marriage?
Mm. So I have what I would call a very, very open-ended conversation with people. So I ask a lot of questions, a lot of interest, well, a lot of questions that people find interesting. For example, I'll ask people, so tell me what's keeping you up at night? What's causing you to lose sleep? And if your relationship could be different, how would it be different? And how would that work better for you? How would that work better for your spouse? How might that work better for your children? If you continue going the way that you have been going, how do you see your future? How do you see your children's future? And so by trying to learn as much as I can about people, it really gives me a pretty good idea. What have they tried? What have they not tried? Is divorce really the last option for this person, or is it the first option? And I never want to be the type of divorce lawyer that just like rams somebody into a divorce process. And so I might ask, have you tried counseling in the past? Well, no, we haven't. Well, why is that? Help me understand why you've decided not to. Do you think it might be helpful? How do you think it might be helpful? Do you need a referral to a therapist? I know a lot of them. Would you prefer a man? Would you prefer a woman? So yeah, I have those kinds of conversations. They're important.
Yeah, it seems it just must be fascinating. Um, Over
Mm.
time that you've been practicing, have you seen that more people are turning to the divorce option or exploring the divorce option faster, slower? Has it always been the same?
That's a really interesting question. So, it's unique and different for each person. I talk with some people who say, we've been separated for 4 years, and my spouse, I've been asking for a divorce for 3 years, and they refuse to do what I need them to do so that this can get moving. And then others will say, I'm thinking about divorce. I'm not ready to pull the trigger yet, but I just wanted to gather some information so I know what it's all about. And then other people who will call and say, I just got served with divorce papers and I know I have to respond in 20 days and I need a lawyer ASAP. So it really runs the gamut.
Yeah, yeah, I imagine, and hopefully that's the case. Hopefully everybody's approaching their situation thoughtfully and not just grabbing the yellow pages as it would
Mm,
be. But
mm.
I suppose that all depends. So in I guess the answer to my next question is probably all depends too, but there are all these different ways for people to separate, and certainly the more amicable and open people can be to exploring this together, it's going to be better for everybody else involved, for especially if there's kids, in-laws. And
Mm.
just from my personal experience, my folks split up when I was 5, and it's been nothing but a pain in the neck for the next 40 years of my life, because now I've got kids and my folks don't get along and everything else. So there's just
Right.
so many secondary things that are happening.
Right, right. And that's one of the things I love to do. I love to educate people on the various options because most people are only familiar with the one that you see in films and TV, what I call the divorce court, scorched earth battle to the end. But there are so many options for people who can still communicate and get along and can sit down at a kitchen table, so to speak, with a pad of paper and a pen. They can resolve a lot, and they might just need a divorce attorney to say, here's our agreement. We just need the paperwork drafted, the settlement agreements, and whatever else we need. There are other people who will try that, and maybe they can't resolve all of the issues, and so maybe they need to go to a mediator. And then a mediator can work and hopefully resolve the rest of the issues. And then again, it's a simple matter of, okay, we've come to an agreement. We just need to formalize it and file it with the court and be done with this. There is collaborative divorce, which I think is a wonderful option for many families, not all families, but many families. That is more of what I would call a civil, transparent, more healthy way to divorce, where everybody's voice has value, everybody's voice will be heard and considered. It's a safe space where people don't have to feel that they'll be attacked if they are verbally attacked. There's a whole team of professionals to help wrangle in the situation. So that's a wonderful option. Um, and then, of course, you have your traditional litigated divorce through the courts, and that can go in a lot of ways as well. Somebody could initially think that's the way I think my divorce needs to go. We need to have a battle, and then lo and behold, the other spouse says, you know what, I don't want to fight. Let's just get this resolved. And so maybe they go to mediation, they work everything out, and then they're done.
Yeah. It seems I think it's terrifying and sad when you hear about stories like that where just it's over and I want to pummel the other person
Mm.
and destroy them through this process and scorched earth at the expense of everything. Um Do
Yeah.
you, I mean, how do you handle that?
So I am an interesting mix of personalities. So, like everybody, I have a what I call a light side and a dark side. And my light side is the nice, collaborative, cooperative person who likes to negotiate settlements and work in a civil manner, like the collaborative divorce process. And then my dark side comes out when it's appropriate. And my dark side is more of like the aggressive litigator who's going to use the rules to help protect my client, get my client what he or she needs. We're going to resort to hearings and a trial if necessary because we've tried everything else and it just can't work out. So I'm capable in the courtroom and I'm capable outside of the courtroom. And unfortunately, I think lawyers tend to fall on one side or the other. Rather than kind of walk that fine line between the two. And divorce I consider trial work, hearing work I consider the last resort. Because today we have enough information out there from psychologists and sociologists about children and the effects of divorce, the harm that they suffer, the trauma that they suffer. And as a matter of fact, divorce is listed on the ACE score, adverse childhood experiences as one of the factors. And so we only go there when necessary.
Yeah, I certainly appreciate that. So, but you need to be able to do all of it, AJ. You need
Yes,
a
yes, yes, you do.
need the right tool for the job, so to speak. And it's probably I don't know if it's possible to sort of give us a range, but just if there's people out there, for people who are out there who are listening, who divorce has been on their mind, but they've never really priced it out.
Mm.
The low end is maybe a mediation or doing it yourself, and then the high end is
Yeah, the high end is unlimited, unfortunately. So I've handled divorces anywhere from say $3,000, where a couple could work together and resolve most things, all the way up to $250,000, and they couldn't get things resolved. And that particular case that I have in mind, I handled, gosh, it's been about 7 or 8 years ago now. And unfortunately, it's still going on
mm,
after they received what's called their final judgment and they were officially divorced. They continue to fight. So the costs just keep going up and up and up and up. I would say on average, divorce probably costs somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000 per spouse.
got it. Oh. Well, there you go. Beautiful. Well, AJ, the people are ready for that difference making tip. What do you have for them?
Oh, all right. All right. So my difference making tip goes to communication. And I briefly touched on it earlier, and that is when you're in conflict with somebody, approach a conversation as a learning conversation. You really want to learn more about where the other person is coming from. And it might look something like this. Hey Joe, I don't know how you feel, but it seems like we've got this conflict between us. We have some disagreement about, ABC. And I know from my own experience what I'm feeling and what I'm thinking, but I'd really like to invite you to have a conversation with me because I want to learn more about how you're perceiving this, so that maybe we can come together and work this out, so that we can continue to work together for a better result. What do you think? And I think just doing that is a great step forward to having more positive communications in conflict.
Well, I think that is great stuff. That definitely gets. Come on, AJ. Thank you so much for coming on. Where can people learn more about you? How can they engage with you and Leapfrog Divorce?
All right, best place would be my website. That's www.leapfrogdivorce.com. My phone number is there. Contact forms are there. Just reach out. I'm happy to help.
Love it. And is that exclusive to Florida? Is that in more areas?
So I am licensed as a lawyer in Florida. However, I have had quite a few clients over the years who reside in other states with a spouse here in Florida, so I can still help them as well.
Got it. Well, if you enjoyed this as much as I did, show AJ your appreciation and share today's show with a friend who also appreciates good ideas. Go to leapfrogdivorce.com and check out the great resources that AJ has been talking about today and see if it's a good fit. Thanks again, AJ.
Thank you, George. It's been a pleasure.
And until next time, keep fighting the good fight. We are all in this together.